Okay guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to do a little something different. Going to do the basic repair for a vintage G.I. Joe. Hope this might help a few people. I believe there's some videos out there on this, but just in case you weren't aware, and if you are planning or are currently collecting vintage G.I. Joes, one of the most common issues is a loose or broken O-ring. Just received this guy in as part of my vintage collection, and he's in fantastic shape. Great figure, but he does have a very loose O-ring, so you notice it just kind of floppy. So I don't want to leave him out on display like that. I'm going to change his O-ring. It's very simple to do. You just turn the figure over to the back, and right there we're going to try and access the screw inside. So all you need for this is a small screwdriver that fits the screw for these guys. To make sure that it's small enough that it fits in and does not scratch or scrape the plastic around it. And of course you're going to need some O-rings. So I picked up a bag of these about a year or two ago as I was dabbling in collecting the vintage Joes. So you can find these on eBay. Believe it's called a number 10 at the hardware store. But you look up G.I. Joe O-ring on eBay and you'll definitely come across it. I got 100 of them and I think it was only like $4 or $5. So, go ahead and get started on this. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is take the screw out. That's it. It's magnetic, so pulls the screw with it. And from that point, you want to try and work the figure apart gently. Sometimes they come right apart, other times they don't. You see starting to separate. You kind of get your nail in there to get it started. Again, be patient. You don't want to damage the figure. Obviously the idea is to simply repair it. So avoid any damage if possible, which should be. I mean, the figure essentially comes apart. There we go. So you see, just kind of falls apart, and that's the way they're constructed. It's a good shot of it. So you see, they all the parts just come apart. And as the O-ring, you see it's pretty worn, so we definitely want to replace that. Okay, so now we've got the figure apart, and next step is obviously grabbing a new O-ring, which I have. Some people pre-stretch these to give it a little bit of extra give. I did a little bit, but it doesn't need a whole lot. You don't want to overstress the T-bar, which this is, because they could crack. They are metal, but over time it still could crack if there's too much pressure on it, so stretching it's not a bad idea. And you just feed the O-ring over that. And the trickier part here is you kind of want to pinch it and work it through the waist piece. The crotches are synonymously fragile, so you want to avoid putting any stress on that as you're feeding this through. So let's see. And that's that. So that is fed through. And you get something that looks like this, and you simply take the back piece, which has the post for the O-ring to wrap over, and you want to seat that first. Just like so. Some figures will keep pulling it forward. Other figures will work with you. So this one just stays in place if you got it the right angle. And then you just feed the arms over the intended slots. And the head sometimes will or will not work with you. You end up with something that looks like that, and then you just attach the front torso over it. Make sure everything's aligned. There's some pegs in there, and it looks great. And you just simply drop the screw back in, and take it easy when tightening it. You know, you just want to tighten it till it just starts to give resistance. Right there's about good. And definitely right away you can see there's no flop. Really tight, just like a brand new figure once again, which is really cool. So that's how you repair a vintage G.I. Joe O-ring. Very simple. Hope this was helpful for some of you folks who are collecting these, or if you weren't sure how to do it. Hope you do now. And that's it. Until next time, thanks as always for watching, subscribing, and commenting.